Hello everyone. It's probably nothing new to you that I'm in my own garden, but it feels kind of surreal for me because we just got back from 3 weeks in America. I'm still pretty jet lagged. It's autumn here and I'm just loving this cool, crisp temperature and dry air. Soon the rains will start. It's usually really rainy, especially at the end of autumn. But I'm not gonna waste any of your time. We're just gonna jump straight into the video. This is what happened on our trip. I hope you enjoy. The state of New York is divided into many regions, but most New Yorkers who don't live in New York City start by saying, "I'm from upstate New York." More specifically, I grew up near Oneida Lake, surrounded by farmlands and forests. I hadn't been home since 2016, and it was Wolfie's first time visiting New York. And despite starting the trip with 24 hours of rain, we ended up with some really lovely weather, which allowed for a bit more sightseeing, family gatherings, and adventure. But it was especially nice to just relax. One of the reasons we wanted 3 weeks for this trip is so that we didn't have to rush through seeing everybody. Like, we could spend some quality time with each person, with each place we went to, and just hang out, because that's what I really missed.
I know you're trying to manipulate me into going against it, but that's not what if you want me through the ball, then just a little bit more.
Oh.
A little bit less. We used to always hit the bad stuff up there. Yeah, I just mowed down through here like Monday.
Oh.
Sunday, before you came.
One of the highlights of our time in New York was my dad's annual camp party, where friends and family and musicians gather for a day of good food, music, and friendship in the forest. We camped there for 3 nights and had an amazing time. I think one of my favorite things about the whole weekend was when my dad and Wolfie were practicing for the music session the following day. I just loved seeing them together.
Okay, so the story here. For 2 years we've been planning to have Sarah and Sean come over from Scotland to visit us. And I learned that Sean is a big Pink Floyd fan, so we've been planning to play Pink Floyd at this party for 2 years, and finally they're here. So he's gonna sit in and play bass with us.
Oh my God. Oh, I don't know if I've ever seen a beaver in person before. That was so cute. Oh, okay. Well, we're packing up. We are leaving after 3 nights here. It was such an amazing weekend. The trip doesn't end here. We're headed back to my dad's house for a couple days, and then we fly to the other side of the country to see my brother and his wife and the baby. Yeah, there's lots more to do. It's a video. Wow. We caught an early morning flight from Syracuse to Seattle and drove east, all the way through the mountains and over to the desert of eastern Washington. And although it's a very beautiful drive, it was slightly worrying that there was so much smoke in the air, and it turns out there were quite a few wildfires going on at this time, one of which we ended up seeing far too close for comfort, but I'll get to that shortly. I don't really know what to say about Eastern Washington except that it's very dry and very hot. Yeah, basically a desert with lots of little irrigated areas of farms and actually quite a few orchards and vineyards. Anyways, we spent a few days hanging out with my brother and his family and especially loved this hike to Palouse Falls, which I guess is the state waterfall. That looks ridiculous. We are at
Palouse Falls State Park
in
Eastern Washington,
finding cool rocks and a big waterfall and canyon.
200 feet.
We have the baby, well, my brother, and then the baby.
Baby brother and the baby.
The baby brother and the baby. And Morgan and Poofy. Now, if you're like me and you're curious about rocks and you love drawing and painting rocks, You might find my brother's YouTube channel interesting. He is a geologist and he does all sorts of educational videos of all types of rocks and locations, especially around Washington right now because they live there. So shout out to the genius of my family, PhD, PhD. Yes, his initials are PhD and he has a PhD. And I mean, does it get any better than that? Okay, back to the video. Out of respect for my brother's family's privacy, I barely filmed anything while we were there, but we had an amazing time and meeting my little niece was so wonderful. Just picture the cutest little baby you've ever seen, and that's her. So after spending some time with them, we headed to Mount Rainier National Park for some solo adventures. We booked 2 nights near Mount Rainier and decided to spend as much of our daylight hours hiking and exploring. So we're on the way to our first hike in Mount Rainier National Park, and we just stopped here at this little pond because it was pretty.
A wee loch.
A wee loch, and now we're on the way to the actual trail. We're on Silver Falls Trail and I'm in heaven right now.
And it's bloody roasting.
It is quite hot. But it smells like fresh pine and we're in the shade and so peaceful. But soon I think we'll see a river and waterfall. It's eerie how quiet it is. No birdsong or anything. And it smells quite smoky. The color of this water is amazing and it's so deep and so clear. I can see all the way down to the bottom and I think it's probably 15 feet deep or something. And it looks amazing and I want to jump in, but I dipped my toes in and I was numb. So I think I would like freeze up. My heart. Onwards. Now we're in the jungle again.
Here's Sarah now conquering her vertigo fear. She is absolutely shiting herself. But she's nailing it. Victory!
I was in awe of this trail and the water, the crystal clear, beautiful turquoise color of that river and the waterfall, and the magnificent trees of this forest. I know that there are even bigger trees, the sequoias down in Northern California and maybe even Oregon, but this was the closest I had been to such massive trees, and my heart was just bursting with joy. But as it was nearly sunset, we thought we should probably hit the road and find our first hotel. But we did have a little issue to sort out first, because on the way to our first hotel, we started noticing some wildfire smoke. And the closer we got to the hotel, the bigger the clouds became. Turns out our hotel was on the same side of the mountain as one of the most recent wildfires, and it was basically in a cloud of smoke.
This right? No.
No. Next right. Oh my god. How can we stay here?
I don't know.
Thankfully, the staff at the hotel were very understanding and were refunding anyone who wanted to leave. So we decided to drive west. We ended up in a little town called Ashford, which was exactly where we were staying the following night anyway, so it worked out for the best. But it was all just very unsettling, and it reminded me how fragile our ecosystem is. So please remember to follow all fire warnings in your area, and especially don't light fires in the forest. I used to be able to travel without making plans. I could just get on a train, go to a town, and figure out where to stay and hike and all of that on the spot spontaneously. Nowadays, I don't do that very much, so this sudden change of plans had me a bit frazzled, but ultimately I realized it'll be okay. As long as we have each other, we're safe, we're healthy, we have our money and our backup credit card, like, we'll figure it out. And so once I embraced that mindset, I had a much better time. And luckily, this place we found at the last minute was gorgeous. It was very relaxing, tucked away in the woods, and we had a great night's sleep, ready for another day of adventures. Just a wee viewpoint at Mount Rainier. Did a little painting. Now we're gonna see what else we can find around here. But boy, is it hot today.
Hot one today.
Mount Rainier National Park has so much inspiration for artists and photographers, and Wolfie and I both agreed that it left a really big impact on us, and we definitely want to go back. But as much as we loved exploring these mountains, we had a ferry to catch. We were spending our final days in America with a few of our friends who we used to know in Colorado. They moved to Whidbey Island and invited us to stay with them before our final flight home. I had always heard that the Pacific Northwest was very similar in climate to Scotland, so I was quite curious to see how it would compare.
You know you can swim?
That's one of the babies.
So cute!
That's Mama. Yep, those are our babies. See that patch, that little patch of grass there? And here comes the other one. The other one usually has a baby too. Oh, here comes the other baby.
Wow! Oh my goodness! Besides fawning over the adorable deer that made our friend's backyard their home, we had fun exploring the island, shopping, eating really good food, and just generally enjoying each other's company. It was truly the perfect, most relaxing way to end our vacation, and these are our friends who usually visit Scotland every autumn, so being able to spend this time with them was wonderful. And although we didn't get to see all of our friends and family on this trip to America, it really filled my heart, and I feel so reinvigorated and inspired and just ready to take on the winter with a positive mindset. By this point in our trip, I was desperately missing my little kitties, and it was the longest I've ever been apart from them. I could really feel it tugging my heart. If you've been to Scotland or watched my channel for a while, you probably have a really good feeling for what it's like here. So you'll have to let me know if you think Whidbey Island reminds you of Scotland. People in their pajamas will come down.
It's still sleepy.
Thank you for watching this video and all of your support on my recent uploads as well. I'll be continuing my coastal journey soon after I catch up on some work, so I'll see you all again in the next episode. Take care.
In this house tonight. Counting on days when these daydreams take another step toward them. When they're reborn